All right. Hey, welcome everybody to another edition of the Defining a True Platform live stream series. Really excited to be here with you on a Friday. My name is Brian Troy. I'm the Senior Director of Product Marketing at ConnectWise. I'm so happy to be joined by my partner in crime for this series, Jeff Bishop, our GM for ASIO and Unified Monitoring and Management. And then 2 weeks in a row, special guest, Mr. Jake Varghese, joining us today, EVP and GM of Business Management Solutions. And we're really excited because throughout this series, we've hit on a lot of different topics. Today is a topic that I know a lot of people are interested, a lot of people are talking about, a lot of people have their eyes on what's going to happen next. We're going to get into AI a little bit, and we're going to talk about what that means for the MSP industry and how we at ConnectWise are using our platform to drive AI and realize the true value of what we think we can do. And so before we jump into all the details, though, in true defining a platform series spirit, it is a Friday. We're going to have some fun. It's going to be a little bit casual, but I'm going to switch up the question a little bit this week because, the weekend thing, we've been talking about that. I'm going to ask a little bit of a different question. Today is May 3rd. We're rolling into the summertime. Spring is wrapping up. So I wanted to ask you guys, and Jeff, I'll go to you first. May, it's a great month in Florida. What's your favorite part about the month of May as we roll in, get ready to hit the summertime here?
That's a loaded question, Brian. If I don't it's my wife's birthday tomorrow. If I don't say
that's it.
I don't say that, I'm in a lot of trouble. But it's a great time of year down here to as the weather's changing and everybody getting out and enjoying the outdoor weather, and it's just a beautiful time of year.
Yeah, great. So Jake, you can't use the weather as your favorite thing about May. Although I'm sure living in Seattle, May is probably beautiful. So, hey, man, we're getting ready to roll into summer. What are you most excited about as we kind of turn the page from winter, spring, and get going toward the summertime?
Brian, first and foremost, thank you so much for inviting me. I've been watching these live stream series religiously, and I love what you and Jeff are doing, right? Just extolling the values of a true platform. But in terms of your question, May is a very special month. A lot of the folks that I care about deeply have a birthday in May. And in addition to that, what happens is I feel like it's a transition from, some of our winter sort of a situation, even though you folks in Florida don't experience it that often, into spring and kind of springboarding into summer. So I feel like that's a good metaphor for where we are as ConnectWise, as we're moving all of our solutions into ASIO and just reimagining everything, putting hyper automation in the mix. So yeah, that's how I think about May. And also, one of the things I really like about May is because of what's going to happen in June. And I'm referring to IT Nation Secure. So everyone is just so pumped about all the amazing things that we're going to release at IT Nation Secure. So yes, I know that was more than what you asked for, Brian, but that's truly what I'm excited about May for, and just truly grateful.
No, that's great. That's awesome. And you kind of, I'm with you on that a little bit. I love the month of May because it really starts to amp up IT Nation season for us. IT Nation isn't just a thing that happens in Orlando in November, but it's a year-round program. And we've got some really cool stuff coming up in early June with Automation Nation and then IT Nation Secure right there at the same time. So it's fun and exciting time. So, all right, thanks, guys. Appreciate that. So let's go ahead and just get into it a little bit. I want to start by just recapping a little bit of what we've been talking about throughout this series. If you haven't had a chance to catch the other videos, make sure you go back and check that out. But I'll give you the quick overview. One of the things that we're seeing in the market right now with a lot of ConnectWise partners is this reemergence of the silos of chaos. If you've been a ConnectWise partner for a long time, you remember that term because back in the day, it was like, well, I have spreadsheets, I have my accounting package, I have my project management tool, and it's different than my ticketing tool. And we solved that with PSA. Well, now what we're seeing is this scenario where we've got all these different solutions that we use to run our business because of the complexity of managed services and delivering great experiences to our customers. And so this new silos of chaos is emerging, and we're starting to understand that there's probably a better way to handle that. The solution that we've proposed at ConnectWise is adopting a true platform. And there's a lot of benefits to look at whenever you take this platform approach. One of the things that's been a driving force behind our conversations these past couple of weeks has been the unified data layer of a true platform. Only in a true platform is your data consistent across all of your solutions, across all of the services that power the platform. And because of that, that's where you can realize true hyperautomation. Hyperautomation, it's a big word. It's a word that a lot of us have, heard probably from an enterprise perspective. When we talk about hyperautomation in the MSP space, we're talking about taking what you've been doing forever, automating your business, and 10xing that, and really going to the next evolution of realizing that value whenever you automate. Last week, we talked a lot about robotic process automation and RPA. We had Oz join us, and we went into that a little bit and talked about what the future is there. And today, I'm really excited because we're going to get into the AI side of the hyperautomation equation, and that's where Mr. Jake is going to come in and walk us through. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, and we're going to go through a couple of slides, and we're going to talk about the impact of AI on MSPs. So Jake, take it away.
Yeah, Brian, thanks so much for the setup. And I got to tell you, a lot of props to Oz. He was quite the wizard when he talked about RPA. So you see what I did there? Brian, you like that? Okay, great. So let's talk about AI and work trends. As you can imagine, I'm super hyped about hyperautomation and everything that is bringing to us. I mean, I mentioned this several times before. I feel like I've lived my entire life for this very precise moment. And I just wanted to kind of showcase some of what's happening and how we're embodying that right within ConnectWise into AZ on each and every product that we're building and making available to you. So prior to that, let's just get a sense for some of the trends. And we have to thank our friends at Microsoft for putting together this amazing and incredible study around just how work is shifting. The first one is a couple of years ago, we had a sense that AI is going to help new employees within an organization. Now, what's happened over the course of 2023 and also well into 24 is that in addition to getting new employees up and running, it's also helping lower-skilled workers and existing workers. And it's essentially a lot of the things that were pretty monotonous in terms of what needs to get done. In fact, imagine that you have to hire someone, you got to onboard them. That entire space is getting disrupted as a result of the work that all the capabilities that AI brings to us. So that was one. The second thing, previously what used to happen was AI was relegated to some rudimentary tasks because us, right, human beings, we did not have as much of a trust with AI. But what has happened with generative AI and just the massive advancements that's been made over the past 70 plus years is that now we're at a stage where we're trusting AI to work with a certain set of tasks, and the complexity of those tasks seem to be increasing. The third thing is, so when we think about breaking down complex or solving complex problems, one of the approaches that we take, right, is we break down complex problems into smaller, more manageable problems. And guess what? AI is fantastic at doing that. So now, all in all, I don't want to spend too much time on this slide, but you can essentially see that AI is beginning to cross the chasm that has previously existed, where, in terms of just getting it up and running, getting value from AI, that entire space has been changed. Now, the entire world is completely all in on AI. And now we're building capabilities where that foundational layer is set. And now if you think about this as a layered cake model, where the foundational layer is set, now we're building the infrastructure, the tools, and the applications on top of that in order to be able to support what AI has made available for us. Next slide, please. All right, so now when you think about fantastic, right, there's all these capabilities, but now what does it mean from a transformation perspective? So here's my favorite thing, a couple of favorite things in this particular site today, and this is quite kind of mind-altering, if you will. Today, when you think about a software product, you think about the UI, right? Because you interface, like I'm looking at a screen right now. This is how I'm interfacing with you, and you engage with the screen, and then you invoke some form of AI, right? I'd like to summarize something. Tomorrow, what's happening, and you'll see it as part of Sidekick, is AI is all around you. That is the product. And then we're going to enable capabilities on top of that. That's a fundamental shift. The second thing is, today, when you think about it, if you ask any software engineer, they'll tell you that they go for idempotency, which is given the same input, right, I should expect to get the same output. Guess what? In the world of AI, the inputs are constantly changing. So your behaviors could be very different. So you're going from a deterministic behavior to more of a stochastic behavior. It's no longer deterministic. The third thing is, as a result of that, previously, we used to always optimize for, and Jeff and I, we have a background as software engineers. We're used to building these fault avoidance sort of experiences. But guess what? When the foundational layer itself is constantly changing, we got to make more fault tolerant or fault accommodating sort of experiences, right? And here's the next couple of things that I really like, which is now no longer am I stuck with this non-personalized static sort of experiences. Now, as my context, as my environment, as my data and my metadata is changing, my experiences are going to be dynamic and is going to adapt to that particular context. All right. So final two things, and this is frankly out of the entire lot, this is hands down my favorite. Today, when you and I, as a user, have to interact with a product, we have to adapt to the system. So you heard things like, oh, I need to learn this particular system. What do? I go look at some YouTube. Maybe if there's a certification, I go and get certified in that. And then I get to really, really appreciate and use the software the way that it was intended to. What that distills down to is that we're having to learn the system with the power of AI. Now, very soon, the system will need to learn us. So this way, when we interact with pretty much any piece of software, we're going to be typing, we're going to be speaking, perhaps we're going to touch certain things, and the system has to understand not only the thing that we typed in natural language, not a specialized language, it has to infer the context, it has to understand the data set that it needs to operate on, and then needs to figure out what is the best maybe form of visualization that I can return these results back in. All of that has to be done by the system. Now, can you imagine the world that we're moving into? What kind of productivity will be unleashed when I'm no longer having to be held hostage to being a specialist on this one versus specialist on that one? Now I'm a generalist, and now I can figure out how to drive the best business outcomes, especially when we're talking about TSPs and MSPs. How do I drive the best business outcomes for our customers when all of the solutions that are built on top of a platform is available to us? I love that world. Next slide, please, Brian. Okay, so, there's a lot of numbers on here, and all of them are pretty substantial. I know that the folks that are attending this particular live stream are able to read these numbers, so I'm not going to go ahead and go through each and every one of these. But the fact of the matter is, the type of growth, the economics of the AI-driven, the hyper-automation-driven ecosystem is substantial. And my one request to you, and that's the reason why we put this slide together, is lean in. Do not wait for perfection to happen. Do not worry about the initial friction points that might exist at this point in time. Lean in, because historically we've seen that there's winners and losers with every disruptive cycle. And the winners, history has shown us this, that the winners are the ones who have engaged and leaned in right at the start so that they can shape the destiny of where we're heading together as an industry and can extract disproportionate rent from the fact that they took advantage of being a first mover, right? So that's what this slide is attempting to convey. Next slide, please. All right, so the fact of the matter is, I said a lot of things. Cool, disruptive stuff happening. Seems like it's going to have a massive economic impact. But if I'm an MSP looking at this and going, wait a second, I need to do all this, but I still need visibility. I need to support. I need to secure my customers. I still want to take care of my employees. I want to give them a fantastic experience. And ultimately, I want to grow my business profitably. How do I do that? Can you please explain that within the context of this massive phase dislocation, disruption that we're experiencing? Next slide, please.
And Jake, to help us illustrate that a little bit, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about what we're doing from a ConnectWise Sidekick perspective. And let's go ahead and cue the video.
Love it. Thank you, Brian.
In the heart of every task lies a transformative force waiting to be unveiled. Imagine a world where manual tasks fade and customer issues are met with seamless grace. By harnessing the power of AI, you can unlock a new level of efficiency and ingenuity. It's a glimpse into tomorrow where customers smile and your team thrives. Prepare for a revolution, a game changer beyond imagination.
All right. So Jake, tell us a little bit more about ConnectWise Sidekick.
I'm more than happy to, Brian, to help our partners navigate what is happening around them, right? Because we've been, you know this, Brian, you know this, Jeff. ConnectWise has been in business for more than 4 decades, right? We've seen disruptions like this before. The movement to the cloud, the movement to mobile, right? And this is as big, if not bigger, than any of the previous ones that we've seen. So to help our partners navigate this disruption and successfully get them to the other side and help them thrive, we created and we introduced ConnectWise Sidekick back at IT Nation Connect in November of last year. And since then, we've made so many updates. I'll tell you about it. But prior to that, what is ConnectWise Sidekick? It is your faithful AI-powered digital assistant, right? It is there to assist you. It is available 24/7, 365, always gives you very intelligent answers, does not judge you, which is what I like. So it's like having a Jeff Bishop next to you day in and day out. That's how I think of ConnectWise Sidekick. Very smart, clearly very, very good looking. The second thing is, ConnectWise Sidekick is purpose-built for TSPs. We are not interested in solving the general purpose problem that other fantastic companies are doing. We are just hyper-focused on technology solution providers. Of course, ConnectWise Sidekick abides by our secure by design principles and our responsible AI posture. If you haven't read that, please go to our website. Jason McGee, our CEO, put up a beautiful site that talks about responsible AI and the key tenets that all of our hyperautomation is built on top of. And here's the best part about ConnectWise Sidekick. It is built at the heart of ASIO, our hyperscale platform. Right? If you haven't seen ASIO, if you haven't seen the solutions built on top of ASIO, including RPA, workflow, integration, accessibility, UI layout, I'm going to go out of breath. You should definitely reach out to us. It encompasses all the ConnectWise products. And here's the best part. For you as an MSP, as a TSP, it unlocks every possible thing that you care about. Productivity, creativity, efficiency, visibility, so that you can build that thriving experience that you've been wanting to do for the longest time. And if you could go to the next slide, please, Brian, I'll explain to you that ConnectWise Sidekick, right, is for every role within an MSP, right? Typically, when you think about AI-driven solutions, especially within the MSP, TSP space, right, you think about the technician, you think about the service desk persona, and we love the service desk colleagues and friends of ours and our partners. But in addition to that, our sales friends, our finance friends, procurement, right, even owners can take fantastic advantage of the ConnectWise Sidekick, especially if you're an owner. The type of visibility that Sidekick gives you is unprecedented. If you haven't played around with Sidekick thus far, I implore you to please contact us, because the type of capabilities that we continue to build into Sidekick, it frankly has been unprecedented. The thing that Jeff and we like to talk about is, when it comes to hyperautomation, we think about our progress in days and weeks, not in months or quarters, right? That's the speed at which we're moving, and we're incorporating a lot of feedback, ongoing feedback from our partners via the ConnectWise virtual community, where we have a dedicated space for hyperautomation via the weekly hyperautomation webinar, via just the feedback that we get. It's just very, very fluid, and we incorporate that right back into the product and give you latest drops that you can start using and shaping it to meet your current and your future needs. Next slide, please.
Jake, real quick, I was just going to go hit back on the owner aspect that you mentioned a minute ago. I have an opportunity to talk to a lot of MSP owners, and one of the areas that I know that they've really been enjoying Sidekick is kind of the ticket summarization aspect of it. I mean, as an owner, you're going to get escalations, right? Things are going to be escalated to you whenever maybe things aren't going so well with one of your customers. Yesterday, and in the previous world, you'd have to sift through a ticket, go back and read 6 months worth of interactions to find out what was going on, and spend a lot of time trying to familiarize yourself with that scenario before you're able to really reach out and engage with that customer. Well, today, Sidekick can summarize that ticket for you like that. You can be up to speed, you can understand exactly what's going on, and you can respond quicker to that customer issue so that when the escalations do come across your desk, you create that better experience for your client. Like, that's an easy one that is like a no-brainer that I've heard a lot of owners really being able to get a lot of value out of.
Brian, it's massive, right? And I know that we got a couple of slides where we're going to talk through and showcase what's available in Sidekick today. And the neat thing is we're rapidly progressing. In fact, we've already built the first couple of scenarios is the marriage of Sidekick with RPA and workflow. Frankly, that's where the magic happens. So imagine for a second that when a ticket comes in, right, Sidekick initiates itself, examines the ticket using the power of workflow, and says, oh gosh, this is from Brian Troy. Brian Troy is a very, very, very important partner of ours. And when I did a sentiment analysis of the content of the ticket, I realized that Brian is not happy. And using the power of workflow, using the power of RPA, I can kick off an action, escalate that to my strategic VVIP partner board, ensure that my most seasoned technician is assigned to that ticket, send them a note to their Microsoft Teams channel and say, please take a look at this immediately, right? It's a, 5 alarm sort of a situation, Brian. Those are the things that we've enabled already, right? And now we're building on top of that. So I think I might be getting a little bit ahead of myself, but
that's okay.
I am super hyped about what it is that we're doing and the speed at which we're moving. So from this slide, you can just take a look at the fact that there are so many capabilities that are already available within Sidekick. And, you got summarization, you got recommendation. Let me just take a moment about recommendation. So when we released Sidekick in November of last year, what we did was the recommendation was purely based on generative AI. Then what we did is that in addition to that, we now went back and took a look at the history of your tickets. And now the recommendation is not only generative AI, but it is also from your previous history of your tickets. And now we're personalizing the solution. Guess what? We're making it even better. In addition to that, now you have your historical stuff, you have generative AI, and now we're going to take a look at your knowledge articles that are within IT Boost, right? And now between these three things, you have pretty much everything that you need to resolve any ticket that exists out there. Imagine the productivity that we just unlocked just as a result of that. Then think about automatic triage, ticket sentiment, and ticket sanitization, right? And now if you're a technical person, you're trying to figure out, gosh, I need to respond to Brian Troy, but I know that Brian is really picky about how he likes to receive communication. And it takes me a long time to respond to tickets as soon as I know that it's Brian. So as a result of that, I'm just going to use Sidekick, and it's going to make me sound, look, and act really smart, because it helps me just address the tone of the email that I want to construct using the context that's available in the tickets and also previous historical context. So it's just mind-blowing how partners have utilized Sidekick thus far and all the capabilities that we're building based upon feedback that they're sharing with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do demand I want well-written communications back whenever I submit a ticket. But these are a couple of just screenshots, like, Jake, the ticket assistant here, and you can see the pod over there on the side.
I know it's and here's the neat thing about Sidekick, right? I mean, we've taken a multi-phased approach. Sidekick is embedded within all of ConnectWise products. We started with ConnectWise RMM, right? I mean, there's I think of the order of hundreds of thousands of scripts that have been generated using Sidekick for ConnectWise RMM. Then we came out with Sidekick for ConnectWise BMS, and a little birdie tells me that we might have something up our sleeves that we might be announcing at IT Nation Secure. So I will not reveal those things on this live stream. You just have to come to IT Nation Secure to get all the good stuff that Mr. Amir Karim who's the third leg of the GM's tool, right? He's been working on that. And but in terms of just look at the capabilities that are on here, right? If you go to the next slide, I mean, here the first one is I'm trying to figure out how to get a resolution. I told you about the context already, and Brian, if you could go to the next slide, because I know we're running out of time here. The other thing that I wanted to share was that in addition to having it be embedded within products, what we've done, we've taken the power of let's say the PSA and RMM and soon some other products, and we've incorporated that directly within Microsoft Teams as part of our Teams bot experience. And the reason we did that is because the vast majority of you told us that you use Microsoft Teams day in and day out. So we wanted to give you the power, let's say, of the PSA and the richness of the PSA and the power of AI, and make that available directly from within Microsoft Teams. So can you imagine? You're on the go, you're trying to figure out what's going on. You get two teams, engage with them by typing something, talking to it, clicking a button, and you have full visibility on your PSA and other solutions. And you're not only able to read stuff, you're able to do additions, updates, you're able to get insights, predictions, and soon you can click work, or you can activate workflows and RPAs from this particular interface that you're so used to. So it's been an amazing ride thus far. And I'm actually even more excited about everything that's coming up next, Brian.
Yeah, it's really great, and we have a link for everyone. So if you're interested in getting more information about ConnectWise Sidekick and how you can really amplify what you're doing in your business and take advantage of that hyper automation, we'll go ahead and post the link and make sure you check that out. That's all we have for you today. So there's a couple of things I just want to make sure that we wrap up. Want to let you know that we originally planned this to be a 4-part series, and this would have been the final episode. But thanks to all of you out there, we've received overwhelming positive feedback that we're going to keep the party going. So keep an eye out for more invites to the What is a Platform series. We're going to have myself and Jeff, and then we're going to continue to bring along special guests like Jake all throughout the year so that we can hit on the hottest topics that are on the minds of our MSPs in the industry. One other thing that I was informed of during our webcast is that one of the reasons that Jake may be very excited about the month of May is because it was actually his birthday yesterday. So Jake, we want to just wish you a happy birthday. It was really easy for Jeff and I today because you guided us through all of that. So we're just here. Now Jeff and I are going to sing you happy birthday. All right. So Jeff, 1, 2, no. Okay. All right. Jeff said no. All right. Well, hey everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Friday. Hopefully you have a really great weekend set up. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you to all of our partners. We'll see you soon as we wrap up this episode of the series. Keep an eye out for the next invite, and we'll catch you then. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Jeff. Talk soon. Bye.